Welcome to Movement, Rhythm, and Conversation, the show where we delve into the profound impact of religion, spark provoking conversation, explore the world through an open-minded perspective. I'm your host, Tafari, here to bring you engaging discussions, eye-opening stories, and conversation that pulls no punches, whether it's faith, culture, creativity, or real-life experience. We keep it raw, honest, and unfiltered.
The hood. What is it? What is it comprised of? What made the neighborhood the hood? When did this happen? What is it defined by? How is it identified? Is it by the block, the streets, or the business, or the people? Or what about the community identity that is sprouted from the roots of decay infesting the inner city? What does the hood look like? What does it act like? What does it sound like? What does it smell like? Where did it come from? Who created it? Who lives in it? But most importantly, who left it? How has the idea of what it means to be hood, in the hood, been commodified, romanticized, commercialized, and sold through media, music, and art? How does it permeate in the minds of those that have never been? How has media discourse in the United States created a racial identity and a script for how to act for outsiders around the idea of poverty in the hood? Finally, how does it affect the way all racial minorities are treated, whether they currently live or have ever lived in the hood? These are questions that require thought, questions that demand attention, and they're questions that need to be unpacked when we discuss the mistake of labeling urban decay for Blackness in America.
That was Brittany Campagna from the General Commission of Religion and Race of the UMC. I was watching All Day and All Night on Netflix, one of those movies that's supposed to shine a light on the Black experience, yet end up holding a mirror to the trauma instead. The setting was Oakland, California, another city, another tragedy. The script was familiar: young Black boys killing each other, broken homes, abusive father, mother barely hanging on, the N-word flying around like air. Poverty serves as the backdrop, pain drives the plot. It's the same film we've been living and reliving since the plantation. There has got to be more in our community besides this type of creativity. As I sat there, absorbing the violence, desperation, hopelessness, a question haunted me. Why does the Black man hate himself so profoundly? And more importantly, where does that hate stem from? Oakland isn't just a city, it's a portal, a place where Black people migrated in waves from the Deep South, fleeing the chains of Jim Crow, only to find themselves trapped in a different kind of cage, one without bars but with borders, redlining, underfunded schools, housing projects, and police patrol that feels more like occupying forces. However, there was something even more chilling in my observation. The neighborhood in Oakland and in cities like Chicago, Detroit, Philly, and LA that are saturated with crime and brokenness are the same areas where the most significant influx of Southern Black immigrants settled. And what did they bring with them besides culture, cooking, and grits? They brought the church, Baptist, Pentecostal, evangelical, the spiritual residue of the South. And that's where the contradiction hits me hardest. These communities have more churches than schools, more preachers than mentors, and more holy water than clean drinking water. Yet they were also the most violent, the most broken, and the most unstable. So what does that say? It's saying something sinister is happening when the most religious are also the most self-destructive. Welcome back to Movement, Rhythm, and Conversation. I'm your host, Tafari, the space where we rip the mask off tradition, expose the roots of our struggle, and speak the truth without compromise. Today, we're going deep down in the South, where they have phrases like, I'm fitting to go, or I'm fixing to go. Our title today is the gospel of self-hate, southern roots, and urban decay. Let's get into it. Let me ask you something. Why does the black man hate himself so much? Why does the young brother pull the trigger on someone who looks just like him? Why does the pain feel inherited, like it was passed down, not chosen? And why in neighborhoods where you see 10 churches on every block, do you also see 10 memorial candles on the curb? Today's episode is raw. It's uncomfortable, and it's necessary. As I stated in my opening, I was watching this movie on Netflix. It was called All Day and All Night. It was set in Oakland, California. If you haven't seen it yet, you already know it's the same recycled script we've been handed for decades. Ghetto backdrop, your young black boys are drowning in trauma, a father who's abusive and an addict, a school system that's more like a holding pen than a place of learning. See, I know this may ruffle some feathers, especially with my southern kinfolk, but the truth doesn't need permission. The South has always been a contradiction, a place where Sunday school teach love thy neighbor, yet the very system it defends was built on enslaving, beating, dehumanizing that same neighbor. Religion in the South wasn't just about salvation. It was about segregation. White Jesus was hung on the wall and black obedience was hung in the streets. That message seeps deep into the bones of black Southerners. So deep, in fact, that they learned to hate the skin they were in while singing Amazing Grace. That hate didn't disappear when they migrated north or west. It just put on new clothing, gang colors, poverty, drug addiction, and domestic abuse. We talk about trauma of slavery, but what we really discuss is how that trauma is taught and passed down like family recipes and carried in the womb and whispered in Sunday sermons, reinforced in who receives praise, who faces punishment, and who remains unnoticed. Let's be clear. Racism is pervasive in America, but the South perfected it. And it's in that perfection that many black Southerners were raised to believe they were inferior. When you grow up hearing that enough, when your church preach obedience over liberation, when your school undereducate and over-discipline, when the system breaks your fathers and pass that brokenness down to you, you internalize it. You start to believe that you are worthless. From that belief sprouts a hatred so profound it turns inward. That's why a young boy in Oakland, Baltimore, D.C., Chicago, any major city, Philly, can pull the trigger without blinking, because long before he ever had beef with another black man, he was taught to resent himself. He was taught that being black means surviving, not thriving. He was taught to pray for the better while living through the worst. He was taught to praise God that looks nothing like him while hating a man that looks exactly like him. So no, this isn't just about a movie review. It's a culture autopsy. Our people didn't just leave the South. They carried the South with them, in their mind, in their rituals, and yes, their trauma. And now, generations later, we're watching the symptoms unfold on screen in our neighborhoods and our homes. It's time to break the cycle. It's time to question the messages embedded in our upbringing. It's time to ask, what did we inherit that we should have left behind? Because if we don't deal with the root, we keep picking the same rotten fruit. And no matter how many churches we build, if the foundation is shame and submission, we will keep destroying ourselves while praising a God who never shows up. Let that sink in. If you ever wonder why a young black boy can shoot another black boy without flinching, it's not the rage. It's not just poverty. It's indoctrination, self-hate. He was raised to see himself as nothing. He was taught to pray to a white God, but fear a black man. And when you grow up like that, your reflection becomes your enemy. This is deeper than crime, deeper than drugs. This is generational, spiritual, psychological. It's the unspoken side of migration. It's the aftershock of slavery dressed in Sunday best. It's what happens when trauma goes untreated, but faith gets forced. I say this with love for the South, my people, my roots. I say that because the DMV is considered the South, because we are below the Mason-Dixie line. But love doesn't mean silence, because if we don't call it out, we keep repeating the same pain, just with new faces. So what now? We got to do the hard work, break the chain, not just on our bodies, but on our minds. We have to interrogate the message we inherited. Ask the uncomfortable questions. Why do we worship pain? Why do we confuse suffering with holiness? And why are we still following a playbook that was never written for our freedom? This isn't about abandoning Christianity. It's about reclaiming it, rewriting it, rerooting it in love, not fear, in trust, not tradition. If you're still with me, thank you. The conversation wasn't easy, but nothing worth healing ever is. I'm Tafari, and this is Movement, Rhythm, and Conversation, where we don't just talk, we disrupt. Until next time, family, heal loudly, love fiercely, and question everything.